What's up, audit fans? Today we're going to be talking about audit firm quality management. I've had a number of requests to talk about the quality management standards. Obviously, there are some brand new exposure drafts that have been released this year, ISQM 1, ISQM 2, and ISA 220. Those are looking to come in 2022. Today I'm going to talk about an overview of what our new quality management framework looks like. So let's get into it. Welcome back to my regular subscribers, and hi, if you're new, my name is Amanda. I do love auditing, and I teach auditing to undergraduates at a major Australian university. Now today we're going to be talking about quality management. We know that audit quality is important. You will have seen potentially my previous interviews with Professor Roger Simnett, who is the chair. He's in charge of the Australian auditing standard process, talking about the difficulties around measuring audit quality. But it's a really important part of the audit process. So I'm going to jump onto my tablet and let's talk about audit quality some more. So let's start by talking about a definition of audit quality. And that's somewhere, it's really important to start with this idea of a definition. So audit quality can be defined in lots of different ways. And the difficulty is that there is no one universally accepted version of audit quality. This makes it hard for, inspectors and regulators to make sure that audits are of a quality. I guess, we could think about that audits that are appropriate, that give the right opinion, that don't make mistakes, that meet the auditing standards. Those could all be quality audits. Now, I'm going to take you back to some research, and this is some old research, but still valid today and still really widely cited, is D'Angelo in 1981, which said audit quality is really beholden to two particular factors. There are two particular components to audit quality. The first component is our ability to detect material misstatements. All right, that's our skill as an auditor to evaluate the evidence and detect the misstatements. The second thing is our propensity to report material misstatements. So if we find a material misstatement, do we have the independence, the ethics, the professional competence to be able to report those to management, request an adjustment, and if they don't adjust, then potentially disclose that as part of the audit opinion. So it really talks about our ability to report and our ability to detect. So that's, I guess, an original research perspective from audit quality. Now, if we think about this in a more practical sense, really, audit quality happens on an individual engagement, right? On an individual audit is where we actually get audit quality related to a specific client. So the audit team go out, they do their work. So the team goes out, they have to follow the auditing standards, the ISAs internationally, or the ASAs here in Australia. And so that team is responsible for audit quality. And part of that team, of course, the ultimate person responsible is the audit partner. Now, the partner is part of a bigger organization. Remember that the partner is part of the audit firm. So we also want to make sure that the audit firm overall has policies and procedures in place to make sure that we're doing quality audits, we're managing our audits in a quality way across all of their partners, across all of the engagements. Because remember, it's not just one individual partner just doing one audit. It's hundreds of partners and thousands of team members working on these audits. So it's really important that the firm have their own processes to ensure audit quality. And that's really what the quality management standards are about. If you think back to our standards themselves, I mentioned before that the ISAs and the ASAs are where we have, actual requirements for audit quality. For the audit firm, they have, and they will have, ISQMs, International Standards on Quality Management. Now, right now, what you'll see is ISQCs. The ISQMs are draft, they're proposed. We hope that they'll be approved, but I'm going to talk about the most recent sort of set of standards. But there's a lot of similarities between the QCs and the QMs, but I'm going to be talking about the QMs today. So the QMs have two components, ISQM 1 and ISQM 2. There are 8 components to quality management from the audit firm perspective. Governance and leadership, so that's having the right people in charge, the right tone at the top. Risk assessment, so how are we assessing the risk of things going wrong on an audit, just like we would expect our clients to have risk assessment processes. Ethics, which links back to APES 110, our ethical standard. Our engagements, where we want to make sure that we accept and continue appropriately. We have processes to choose and decide to continue or discontinue with clients. And then processes to make sure that when we're doing the audits appropriately, that we have resources to support the entire process, that we're gathering information, and importantly, the last one is that we have monitoring. So remember, in talking about internal controls, there's no point in having internal controls if we don't actually monitor the process. Audit firms need to do the same thing. They need to monitor their quality management processes. So, there's got to be somebody reviewing audits. If there are issues, how are they dealt with? What are annual quality reporting requirements related to those engagements? This probably also links back through to inspections from centralized oversight bodies. So you might have ASIC here in Australia, PCAOB in the US. Making sure that we inspect audit firms, we'll be looking at those monitoring processes as well. So there's a really great diagram from COSO, the 2013 COSO framework, which is in the exposure draft of ISQM 1, that talks about these 8 different components. So ISQM 2, which is about engagement quality reviews, is really about making sure that we have processes in place to review engagements. And I'll do some more videos on the actual standards here. We'll go through them line by line like I have in my other Standards Explained series. But as an overview, they're really about making sure that there are engagement quality reviewers, that those reviewers are qualified, they know what to do, they're ethical, they're independent, and also the performing of individual engagement quality reviews. So every audit has to have a process of review. There has to be a review partner. That review partner is there to ensure that the team isn't getting off track, isn't missing something, isn't compromised ethically or from an independence perspective. So, they have to be objective and evaluate the key judgments made on the audit. And a really interesting component that I wanted to bring up now is that the audit report should not be signed off by the main engagement partner until the quality review partner has checked everything. So that's really interesting. So realistically, ISQM 1 is like the structures the firm has to have in place to make sure that we can provide quality audits, and we've got structures to ensure that there's quality policies and procedures. ISQM 2 is specifically about that monitoring process and that performance process to make sure that there is a review and that review is being done appropriately by appropriate staff members. Now, the third component in this trinity, of quality management is new ISA 220, which is about, actual audit quality on the engagement. So that includes things like documentation and supervision. We've already talked about that a lot, and you can check out my previous videos on ISA ASA 220. So that's my overview on the new quality management framework that's hopefully being approved and coming in 2022. In future videos, I will be going through each of these standards, ISQM 1 and ISQM 2 and new ISA 220 in greater detail. So if you're interested in those, please make sure that you've subscribed and you've turned the notification bell on to get my notifications of new videos. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, those of you who have been viewers of mine for a while will know that between October 2020 and February 2021, I'm doing a fundraiser for Oz Harvest to help international students have greater food security. So we're providing food hampers to international students who are affected by COVID and have lost their jobs. So just by watching, you've helped generate some revenue that helps students. So I'm really, really grateful to you. Of course, if the video was useful, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, pop them in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.